another proof is that a group of African activists based in Kenya have adopted the orgonite and started to make it into a viable business. They go to farmers, small African farmers, who are very happy with the results, also fishermen, because they find the fish become more abundant, the crops are growing a lot better. But they haven't stopped by this agricultural, but the agricultural application is their business, that's what finances them. But they've also gone into the conflict zones of southern Somalia, South Sudan and Eastern Congo and observed the pacifying effect of orgonite. This is very difficult to prove, but we observe it again and again that there is a consciousness effect of massive deployment of orgonite in a conflict zone will make it more likely that those forces that are constructive and want a positive way out. I'm not saying, a warlord will still be a warlord, he will still have his Kalashnikov and so on, even a career criminal remains a career criminal, but as the energy field changes, the likelihood of somebody turning into that career maybe becomes a little bit less, and the likelihood of somebody standing up and saying, hey, why are we actually fighting? Couldn't we maybe do something more productive? So also an African farmer has little money. He is more zuinig than a Nederlander. And, and the proverbial Scotsman. So before an African farmer who works hard to earn a measly few Ugandan shillings or whatever for his produce, before he parts with hard-earned money and buys something like that, he has to be convinced that it works. So to me, that's the self-feeding success of these African activists is another element of proof. So weather changes. I think I've mentioned a few on the side. A lot of panic was created in 2003, 2004. There were frontline news in the Johannesburg Star that 10 million people were supposed, I'm saying supposed because I think it was a plan behind it, were expected, prognosticated to die in the countries of Zambia and Zimbabwe. None of that happened, because our approach is when we hear of a drought, we don't think that it should be there, we immediately take action. We go there and the drought doesn't happen. That's basically what we're doing. Then in 2004 we did an operation that we called Operation Desert Rain. We put about 5 of these cloudbusters and about 1,000 or so of these thingies. And after that, the whole weather changed in Namibia. They had the biggest rainfalls in the beginning of 2005 that were ever recorded in the history of meteorology of Namibia, which is probably going back to Kaiser Wilhelm and 1880 or so, when they brought in the first records of weather. Actually, somebody sent me a photo of snow in the Namib Desert the other day, which I found very pretty. And I think that hasn't been seen there in maybe 50 years. Surprising greenness in the Karoo. Karoo is another very dry area, traditionally in the center of South Africa. The same for the Kalahari in Botswana. Rivers are starting to flow. Lakes are filling up. Water levels in the Okavango. The Okavango Delta is a beautiful area that is, very important for tourism. Prince Harry and all the royals have their special hideouts there. It's an ecosystem where a river, the Okavango River, actually fans out into the desert, and it's the only desert that is not connected to an ocean, the only delta that is not connected to an ocean. And it's seasonal flooding, beautiful wildlife, crocodiles, giraffes, elephants, whatever, and ecologists and nature conservationists were actually predicting that the Okavango Delta would disappear in the next 10, 20 years because of water usage for mining and the general desiccating drought trend that we broke. That is not existing anymore. So at the moment, the Okavango is actually about, in average, 8 meters higher than it used to be. And some of the safari camps had to be abandoned because they are on low-lying islands. So, water levels, snow in the Namib. Other people who are observant of their environment told me in the Western Cape, for example, that after we did some work there, the weather patterns that they were used to in their childhood and that had disappeared over the last 20, 30 years had returned to what they used to be or what they should be. These are some newspaper clippings of the extra rains in Namibia.